Politics now. It's a few days before the conclusion of the Bayelsa governorship election, and verbal hostilities have resumed between the major political parties in the state. The major candidates are pointing accusing fingers at each other over the real cause of violence and malpractice during the initial conduct of the exercise. The governor and PDP candidate, Seriake Dixon, and his major opponents, Chief Pt.3 Silva of the APC, do not agree on some burning issues.
It was an election declared inconclusive. Several weeks of waiting, and now the new date is few days away. The concern is the violence and malpractices, even as the exercise dragged into a second day. The ruling People's Democratic Party is concerned about a few issues, especially what the governor, Mr. Seriake Dixon, claims is the use of state apparatus to muscle his party down in the exercise.
October, that is the minister's ward, it's minister's unit. And the reason for the cancellation is snatching of results at the collation center. These are the people on the other side.
The allegation does not go down well with the candidate of the All Progressives Congress APC and the former governor, Mr. Pt.3 Silva.
So nobody can come and begin to shout holier than thou. The only thing I said, as far as that election was concerned, I felt that INEC should have played that independent role, especially in Bayelsa. I felt that there was some mistake done. The cancellation of certain jobs, I believe, was done wrongly.
The governor, Mr. Dixon, feels the APC's director of campaign and the minister is complicit in the violence which occurred, leading to the cancellation of the votes in a Kerama local government area.
Those votes were cancelled after elections because the minister sent talks to attack the collation center.
That is not true. This is the immediate response of the Minister of State for Agriculture, Senator Ainekin Lopobiri.
The only violence recorded on the 5th of December was the violence that was unleashed on me in my residence by talks procured by the PDP candidate who is the governor of Bayelsa, and Seriake Dixon. There was no other violence that was recorded. And I'm surprised to hear that he's the one trying to turn it around, to say that I was the one who unleashed violence.
The verbal brickbat between the gladiators continues. The supporters too are talking tough, but who wins in the end will be decided with the exercise of the 9th of January and the eventual announcement of the winner and the exercise.
It's time now for business news. Here's Imana Amawe.
Thank you for staying with us and welcome to Business News. President Muhammadu Buhari says his administration will look inwards and enforce regulations to stop financial leakages. He notes the federal government will adopt global best practices in generating more revenue to lessen the effect of dwindling oil prices on the Nigerian economy. Receiving the managing director of the International Monetary Fund, Ms. Christine Lagarde, at the presidential villa, President Buhari said his administration will also enforce greater discipline, probity and accountability in all revenue-generating agencies of the federal government. The president explains that the federal government is reviewing its operational costs and plans to reduce the cost of governance. President Buhari has also directed all ministries, departments and agencies to cut down on overhead costs. He says, and I quote, "We have just come out of budget discussions after many weeks of taking into consideration the many needs of the country and the downturn of the economy. With the falling oil prices and negative economic forecasts, we are working very hard, and with the budget as our way forward, we will do our best to ensure that our country survives the current economic downturn." End of quote. President Buhari adds that the federal government will welcome the technical support and expertise of the IMF for its plans to diversify the Nigerian economy and further unleash its growth potentials. In the meantime, a financial and management consultant, Dr. Biodun Adedipe, has asked the federal government to consider the recommendations made by the International Monetary Fund in the areas of agriculture, power, rail and other key sectors. Dr. Adedipe, who was a guest on Business Morning, suggested the country should focus on the most dominant sectors and link it with the external sector. The economist says this will help Nigeria overcome challenges posed by the failing oil prices.
If you look at the structure of our economy as at today, there are 6 major sectors of that economy that account for 80% of the value of economic activities taking place in Nigeria. And these are, you have there agriculture, which is, of course, the largest sector, 20.2%. You have also ICT, you have manufacturing, you have real estate, mining and quarrying, and then you have, of course, trade. Okay, those are the 6 major sectors. Now, if you look at these 6, agric is the most dominant. The major problem our economy has had, and I will take it back to the mid-1970s, when hydrocarbons emerged as the major source of our foreign earnings, is simply that of a delinking. There was a delinking between our foreign earnings and the structure of our economy. So, and what the IMF has simply advised the Nigerian government to do is to link them going forward. And that is to say, the sector that account for most of the activities taking place, that also account for most of the jobs that are available and have also the greatest potential to create new jobs, that we should look more at them and see how we can strengthen and link them with our external sector. And once we're able to achieve that, then the kind of shocks we get intermittently whenever there is problem in the oil market, Nigeria can overcome that.
The total exports of Nigerian crude oil are expected to slide in February after reaching a 3-month high for January. This is because the export scheme for Brass River crude, currently under force majeure, had not yet been issued. According to a compilation of loading programs, the force majeure creates a deficit of 56 cargoes, about 53 million barrels planned for February loading. In the meantime, since January's loading could not reach the 1.99 million barrels per day target, February's 1.83 million barrels per day is now infeasible. Traders also say that the Atlantic Basin is still oversupplied with dozens of Nigerian cargoes yet to find outlets. And the new leadership of FBN Holdings has stated its commitment to implement proper cost controls in the new year, with clearly assigned targets and lines of reporting for accountability across all business units. According to the Group Managing Director, Mr. Uche Eke, the company will be reshaping the risk culture for ownership as well as accountability. He also pointed out that the plan is to drive revenue synergy and eliminate duplication of costs in order to deliver robust returns to its shareholders. Well, it was another session of bloodletting at the local bourse today, with the all-share index losing a further 94 basis points from Monday's close. BC Adebayo is here with details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Reports. The bears held sway at the Nigerian equities market as key indicators depreciated by almost 1% for the second day running. Once again, the key broad index dipped by 0.95% to close at 28,102.14 with a lower market capitalization of 9.66 trillion naira. Nestle lost 1.20% to emerge the day's top price loser. Mobil and Nigerian breweries also declined by 5% each. Total led 14 other price appreciators for the session, which also include ETI and CCNN. Custodian and Allied Insurance, Guarantee Trust Bank and UBA were the top volume drivers for the session. When stocks crossed the finish line, investors had exchanged 195.96 million shares valued at 1.89 billion naira in 2,975 deals. That ends the stock market reports. I am BC Adebayo.
Many thanks, BC. While profit booking was the order of the day in Asian markets owing to low Chinese economic data, it was mixed sentiments across Africa and the United States. On the other hand, investors' confidence in European stocks peaked. We have details. Well, that's it on Business News tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Imana Amawa. It's back to Amarachi for the rest of the broadcast.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Super Eagles continue to make steady progress as they intensify training ahead of the 2016 African Nations Championship. Details in sports news, please stay with us.